How's it going? What I want to talk about today is a simple concept, but it's something I'm in the middle of dealing with a person right now, so I figured might as well talk to you guys about it. I'm about to mix a song for somebody. This is a client who I've mixed many songs for. They said to me that they're going to leave space, holes in the track sort of, for me to be able to do, my magic. I tell you the truth, I don't like working that way. When I hear that, it makes me nervous. And I'll tell you why. I like being creative when it's up to me, at my discretion, where I need to do what I need to do. That's got to be like a natural reaction, because if it's not, it's always going to sound forced, and I can clearly like do something you're thinking, but if I have no idea what that is, then I'm guessing and you have something in your head. So it's a lose-lose. I don't know if you've ever dealt with somebody like this, but the best way to work if you're mixing is not the best way to work if you're a producer. In other words, if you're working with the artist in the studio together, you guys can try out ideas. You can go down paths that may not be the right path, and you'll both discover that together. Hopefully the artist will discover that, and then, you won't have to keep pursuing an idea if it's not good. They will realize it, hopefully, or that'll springboard you. Wherever the bad idea was could springboard you to a good idea. So it's not like there's a right way or wrong way to work with somebody. My philosophy is always try what they're asking you to do if it's in the production stage. In other words, like if they have an idea for production, you want to try recording the drums on the roof because there's too much, they don't want any ambiance at all, like no room sound. Well, that's like what STP did for Vaseline. They played the drums on the roof. That's why the drums for Vaseline sound pretty cool. They also sound very dead, which is sort of the opposite of what you would think. But when you're in a place with no reflections, everything sounds way more dead than it would in a room. So that's why they have that drum sound on there. It's a great drum sound. So that's something to think about. And then contrast that with like the Give It Away drum sound, which the mics for the Give It Away drum set, like Rick Rubin produced Give It Away, but Brendan O'Brien set up all the mics and was the engineer. That drum sound for Give It Away is recorded in a solarium, a glass room that was large and probably didn't have a lot of treatment at all. It was just a glass room in a giant like mansion type of place. So it sounds so open, huge, and big. And the reason the drum sounds so amazing is, number one, Chad Smith. Number two, the mics were placed perfectly, because there were only 4 of them. This is the tale. And you could watch the Funky Monks documentary, and it looks like it, right? But supposedly they mic'd kick, snare, and 2 overheads. So when you listen to that drum sound, it just makes you want to woo! I don't know what it makes you want to do, but it makes me want to just keep recording with 4 mics until I can get that sound. But like I said, it's in the hands. The guy playing is Chad Smith, and there's nobody more funky. I mean, there's probably some people more funky, but not to me. I mean, I love Chad Smith's drumming probably more than anyone. I grew up on it. It's, the Chili Peppers, Flea has everybody in the Chili's has a special place in my heart. Okay, I have to add something I forgot. Brendan O'Brien not only engineered Blood Sugar Sex Magic, but he also mixed it. So even though Rick Rubin produced it, the reason it sounds so great is not only Rick Rubin, it's also because Brendan O'Brien is amazing at mixing, and what he did to that is probably one of the best sounding albums I've ever listened to. I mean, I grew up listening to it, but it's like amazing. It's just flawless. This dude is thorough. If you're mixing a song, back to what we were talking about, I want to get the stuff in a position where I can look at it and be creative if I want and not if I want. I don't want to get boxed in to somebody telling me that they left me holes or spaces to do stuff. If I'm mixing the song, that means you're sending me the song done, ready to work on. In other words, I'll be creative, but I want to start from a place of you love it, now I just got to take it to the next level. Don't be missing things that then I have to fill in the blanks And it's almost like you're forcing creativity, and it's never going to be good if you do that, number one. And number two, it's never going to be what you're thinking. The critical thing here is making the artist happy. So if they have an idea in their head, and again, this today, a lot of artists record themselves. So a lot of people will record themselves, send it to somebody to mix, master, and they're sort of like also acting as the producer if they have to also be creative. So this business is like this. There's never a clear defined rule of what you do or don't do. It's who does what they want to do when they want to do it. Some people do more, some people do less. That's how it is. So when you get to the top higher echelons, it's way more segregated in terms of jobs. But when you're dealing with the bulk of the people, it's not like that. They'll work with you if they can get more out of you. So I learned this a long time ago. That's why I started mixing the way I do, which is basically like I take what they gave me, and if there's anything I think could make it better, I do that usually. And unless somebody tells me not to, because I'll always listen to what they tell me, and I'll try to always have conversations and suss out exactly what it is they want before I start. But herein lies this other thing, right? It's better if an artist doesn't leave holes in the track, for the very reason of, have you ever taken a drink out of a cup of water? Like there's a glass on the table, but like let's say it's not see-through, so you don't know what's in it. You think in your head it's water, but as soon as you take a drink and it's not water, like let's say it's soda, you know that feeling that goes through your head, like you're thirsty and it's like you think it's where you're drinking. It's like, even if you love soda, like it's your favorite thing to drink, it doesn't matter. In that moment, when you drink it, you're not going to like it. You're going to be repulsed by it. It's that initial reaction. That's the same thing that will happen if you have in your head something and you don't tell me what it is, you leave a hole and I'm supposed to figure it out. It's never going to work, because no matter what I come up with, even if soda's your favorite thing to drink in the whole world, you weren't expecting soda at that moment. So it's a losing battle. So what you have to do is the person's got to kind of give it to you done. It can't be almost done. It can only be almost done if we're producing the track together and I can go in and be like, try this here, and you have ideas, try that, okay, and you'll be trying your own ideas. But the point is, we're getting through that part together. That's what the producer's for. And then after that, it gets sent to be mixed and mastered. So if I'm acting as a mixing and mastering guy and I'm not near you in the studio with you and I can't read your mind, what do you want me to do? What I recommend you do is you try ideas, you put stuff in there that figure out what you like. And even if it's not done exactly right, just show me your idea. If that's a quarter note delay, do it. If it's an eighth note delay, do it. But like figure it out. And if you don't know what quarter note, eighth note, triplet, like if you don't know what these things sound like when you put delays on things in spaces, figure it out. Like start messing around, because if you're acting as your own producer, might as well start acting as your own producer. Otherwise, where are you? You're in this weird no man's land and you want more production, but you're not willing to sort of step outside the box and try things. Or, that's fine if you don't want to do that. If you want me to do it all, I'm cool with that. But don't leave the holes for it. Don't leave space. Still make it sound as good as you can possibly make it. And then I'll do the rest. I'll just add my flavor. I'll add the chops where I have to. Like I do crazy stuff when I'm mixing. That's what I do, because I wanted to stand out from everybody else who's mixing. Everybody else is, going to make it sound good and give it back to you. I can do that too, but I like to give them the stuff they weren't expecting. That's my favorite thing to do. I love for people to be surprised when they hear my mixes. I want them to be like, what is that? That's amazing. That's like my favorite thing. So if I can create moments of excitement that weren't there, I do. If I can create anything that's cool that I hear in my head, I try to do it. Because usually I'm not singing parts or playing things, but sometimes I could be. I play guitar, bass, I sing. So like sometimes it'll be an additional thing I'll add, but more often than not, I'm just taking what you give me and I'm doing something with it that's going to make it sound better than you gave it to me. And people are usually thankful for that. It's a risk, but it's a risk I'm willing to take, because in my opinion, that's what separates you. Jason Joshua, a couple people have talked about this. The goal as a mixer, you're trying to get that percentage point. You're trying to get where you're so valuable that you get some points on the record. And producers get points. The mixing guy gets a point too if he's valuable enough. So that's the point. You want to be one of those guys who's valuable enough. That's what I want to be. So I'm trying stuff. I'm going outside the box. I'm not playing it safe. I recommend you guys do the same. All right. So if you have a client who's particularly, like, it's up to you to sort of lead the client, manage their expectations, manage what you want from them. Because if not, they will manage you all over the place, up and down the court. You don't want that. You got to manage them. All right. That's the idea. And what I mean is you can't let them just, I left this stuff, do that. You don't know how many times I've had people be like, can you just, do some cool stuff on the end? Or like, the end's too empty. Can you try something? Every time that happens, you wind up spending so much time messing with something, like hours and hours and hours and hours are spent when people say, just try something. They don't realize so much time gets spent. And then usually they don't like it because when they were saying, blah, 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 that's the worst part. You want to do the creative stuff when they don't say that. You want to give them the surprise. When they're expecting something better than whatever was there in some part, they're like, make this sound different, change this in some way unbeknownst to you, not spelled out, not written. It's like there's no way to figure out what they're talking about. So they're never happy because they have something in their head they just don't want to tell you, or they can't tell you, or they can't figure out how to get it out. That's tough. It's very hard to work with people like that. So this is just, a bunch of stuff you got to realize. It's up to you to manage the client. It's up to you to sort of get them to give you what they want. They got to explain it. I don't care if the person says on the phone, I'm talking about like when you go, hello, hello, hello. Like that's, okay. I could literally go, okay, you're talking about hello, hello, hello. That sounds like a quarter note. What are we talking about? Or is it an eighth note? Hello, 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 hello. Is it a half note? Like, is it a full note? What, like, you want one repeat, two repeats? Like, in other words, I'll ask a ton of questions once I get down a path of something, but that means you've got an idea first in your head of what it is. And then I can try to suss that out. But if you don't have an idea, you got no idea what you're trying to do, it's impossible. So I don't want to work from that place, and I don't recommend you guys working from it either because it's going to create a lot of problems. I just banged into this thing. But anyway, more stuff to come. Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. It's all in the description. If you want to hear what I'm talking about when I say I do this crazy stuff to mixes, we got a special offer right now. Check it out. It's on our website, and we offer mixing and mastering lessons. All right? Take it easy. I'll see you soon.